Hi, this is Todd Malicote, the SEO faculty from Market Motive and online marketing consultant at stuntdouble.com, and I'm here today to talk about competitive analysis for SEO. We're going to look at keyword opposition to benefit scoring, or what I like to call KOB analysis. We'll take a look at what keyword benefit or value is, a look at keyword opposition and how you can evaluate your competitors' listings and search engine result position listings for opposition. We can look at the value of a number one ranking when we do finally achieve those SEO goals. We can look at the upside potential, which is the value of going from number 10 to number 1 for a keyword. We're going to look at prioritizing our keywords objectively versus subjectively. We'll look at some objective data points versus some subjective conclusions and reasoning that we can look at for further understanding search engine result position opposition. Understanding the competitive nature of a search result, or what I like to call opposition scoring, is at the heart of the SEO campaign planning process. We're going to need to understand our business model goals, what type of business it is, the industry we're in, obviously, and then the user intent based on whether it's local or national intent, whether it's commercial or navigational or informational. We need to be able to evaluate the keyword benefit, how much value there is in attaining that number one position, and then look at that opposition. And that opposition is going to change over time as we go through our SEO campaign over the course of 6 months or a year. Our competitors are going to change, and they're going to be moving along with the changes in their website as well. And because of that, we need to establish our keyword priority. We need to understand that we're shooting at a bit of a moving target, and we need to understand all these things as we go into this process of keyword opposition to benefit analysis, which is essentially a cost-benefit analysis of how much benefit there is in generating the new business from ranking number one for a search result versus what is the competition or opposition in the search results, and what have they done to maintain those positions, and what can we do to match that sort of thing. So in most basic form, we're going to do some KOB analysis for keyword prioritization. The first step here is to identify some keywords. We're going to identify some short tail keywords or market defining keywords, the phrases that truly tell us what our website is about and is going to generate that important business. Not necessarily the ones that we can achieve when we're just getting started in our SEO campaign, but those high level terms and their value. We want to know and understand their user intent, and we're going to check in simplest forms keyword opposition or keyword difficulty score via the Moz tool. And we'll take a look at that a little bit later in this presentation. But first I want to take a look at user intent and the importance of user intent in your keyword prioritization and really understanding the intent and the nature of a search result, because there's so many different types of search queries, and some of those trigger different types of search results at this point. You may get image blocks, you may get recipes, you may get authorship thumbnails, you may get events, you may get snippets, you may get one block from just one site, but the search results are changing. We're getting carousel search and local search we see here with something like Miami pizza delivery. And every one of these keywords results is highly sought after. It's competitive. There's businesses and companies vying for these positions. Every keyword result is a raging battle, is what I like to say. You have link ninjas and content pirates and Google bombs and angry pandas and penguins. And you're sitting there with limited manpower and limited budget, and your boss wants a hockey stick. He wants to always see it go up, even though this is SEO. He wants to see the rankings, the click-through, the traffic improvement, the conversion improvement. He wants to see the revenue climbing through the roof. And you're stuck spending your time convincing that you need more budget, that SEO is a worthwhile, high ROI channel, versus doing all the other things that are really important to this process. And one of the tools, one of the weapons in this battle, this raging keyword battle and the battle for budget and resources within your company, comes from doing that cost-benefit analysis, from looking at the opposition and truly evaluating how competitive a search result is and what you'll need to attain those rankings and how much benefit there is, and some projections, which can be very difficult based on the limited tools we have access to as SEOs sometimes. So we can start to do some very simple opposition analysis of the search results with the Moz keyword difficulty tool. And this is just going to give us one simple 1 to 100 percentage number of how difficult that search result is. And this starts giving us some quantitative information on just how difficult the opposition is in each of our individual keyword results. But what we're really looking for is to compare that to the benefit in a large spreadsheet that evaluates or does this KOB analysis, seeking to identify high value, low opposition keywords for us to target. Because every one of these keyword search results is a raging battle. We see people with high page authority and domain authority, and you have to make sure that you're on par with the other sites in your search results. You can see this is a search for online marketing classes, and I'm just comparing 4 of the things, but you can see all of the search results that are ads above. These are PPC. All this side result is PPC or paid search, and one of those paid search results is even Google themselves. That only leaves 3 little spots here for an organic site to rank. And to be competitive, we need to know that we're in that same range in terms of unique linking domains, root domains, domain authority, page authority, etc. We need to be able to look at the keyword difficulty for a search result like this and compare it. And you can see how competitive some things are versus other things. If we're working within the fishing industry, obviously we can be in that 50th percentile. But if we're trying to rank for WordPress hosting, we need to be in that 70th, 80th percentile to truly be competitive. And we can check out the domain authority and page authority, which are 2 very good indicators on their own of search opposition. But every keyword result is going to be a little bit different based on the things that you track. You can track page authority and root linking domains, all the social signals, lots of other things that we can track that we'll talk about. But we need to build a spreadsheet of all of these opposition points. We need to develop some goals of what we're trying to rank for and continually do this opposition to benefit scoring through reporting, through tracking, through our tools and processes of our SEO strategy. And that's how we become the hero within the organization. That's how we set expectations with the people around us that don't understand SEO as well as you do. We set and deliver and manage those expectations with our reporting, with strong opposition and benefit analysis skills. And that helps us to create the search rankings that we can defend. Defensible traffic that's not going to go away with every update, with every change that Google makes. We're going to be ahead of the curve by having strong content assets and reliable links that we don't have to disavow later, that we didn't purchase, from links that we deserve, from high time on site from users that are staying on our site and staying engaged because we have content that attracts and retains them to our website. And we continue to track that performance through our link growth, our rankings growth, the number of impressions, clicks, visitors, conversions that we have, and to a lesser extent, our awareness and engagement on other social media sites. When we start a KOB analysis, we need to start with looking at the most beneficial keyword or the market-defining keyword. I like to call this the most valuable keyword challenge when you jump into any industry or just every industry as a whole, looking at which keywords are the most competitive. And that's part of why I chose the examples that I did. This list of keywords here shows some of the most valuable keywords really in the world in terms of both cost per click and search volume. And there's a very interesting reason why quotes is number 1 on this list, and that's because there's huge volume for people searching for Aristotle quotes, philosophical quotes, Hemingway quotes, all kinds of different quotes from famous individuals, and there's lots of search volume for that. But that doesn't mean there's necessarily a lot of benefit in that, and this is one of those places where you have to understand user intent. Just the single word quotes could be appended to a variety of things, and just that cost per click alone is $26. Now when you start adding auto insurance to that, that goes up quite a bit. We see that the cost per click of that is quite higher because it's more targeted specifically to auto insurance. So there's high value to quotes for insurance terms, but there's also some noise there, and there's a lot of search volume for quotes of famous individuals. And that's why we see quotes on top of that list. But we need to do that most valuable keyword challenge within our industry. So let's take that a little bit further with insurance, just because this is an industry that I'm fascinated with. And it's because of this most expensive keywords infographic from a company called WordStream. And WordStream did this infographic that showed where Google makes its money in AdWords advertising. Google's annual revenue in 2010 when this was done was about $33 billion. And of that, the percentage of that revenue from cost per click or AdWords is about 97%. The percentage of insurance terms is about 24%. And that puts us at about $7.75 billion worth of clicks per year. And this was in 2010. So now you get a pretty good idea of why insurance is such a valuable industry, why these keywords are so valuable, and why they're so competitive and sought after. This is critical to understanding the SEO process, so that you can be aware of that competition, you're aware of the intent of those keywords, and you're aware of your own business model as you go into this KOB analysis, as you go into this cost-benefit analysis of your keywords. So let's get right into it with the order of operations for KOB analysis. We're going to start with entering your domain or keywords, establishing some competitors, 5 to 10 competitors, getting as many keywords as we possibly can. We say a minimum of a couple hundred, but I like to see tens of thousands if possible. And organize those by short tail, keywords by benefit. We're going to analyze page level metrics using toolbars or the keyword difficulty score. We're going to compare the site opposition at this SERP level using these inline metrics of page authority, domain authority, etc. We're going to record those opposition scores, and we're going to choose the phrases with the lowest opposition and the highest benefit. Those phrases that don't have very powerful, authoritative domains ranking for them, that also have some benefit, have some volume, have a little bit of value to them. So let's start with the benefit side of this keyword analysis. We're going to enter our domains, and we're going to assess the benefit. We're going to organize these short tail keywords by cost per click and volume. So this is pretty easy to get. You can get it from a basic tool like the Google AdWords tool, which is shown here. And it'll take a few more clicks than getting it from SEMrush. And you won't get quite as many words, and it'll take you a little while longer. It's a little clunkier, but you'll get it direct from the horse's mouth at Google. And it's a free tool. Now, SEMrush will give you more terms. It's easier to find the transactional queries. It's easier to look up your very large competitors. It's easier to export to a spreadsheet and multiply the cost per click times the volume. We can do this either at SEMrush or at the SEO book tool, which is based on SEMrush data. And SEMrush is also based on AdWords data. They have the cost per click. So essentially what we're going to do from any of these tools is collect the cost per click and volume information and multiply that to get the total keyword value. You can see I did that here in the spreadsheet that I exported. Very simple calculation, cost per click times volume, and we're going to get a total keyword value. By understanding our total keyword value or keyword benefit of any specific keyword, we can start to identify our market-defining keywords. If we were going into a new industry, say online education for instance, and we were working with a client like DeVry University, we would identify Phoenix Online University quickly as one of the top competitors, the website that collects and has the most search value based on the terms that they're ranking for. They're ranking for a variety of very valuable terms, and we can organize and rank those by how beneficial or how valuable they are. And that's that value of a number one search ranking. And then we start identifying, prioritizing those market-defining keywords, and we can compare this to our opposition that we'll talk about in a minute. But this is the overall value of these very valuable terms: online education, education online, online schools, etc., etc. If I was DeVry, I would start to look at these words and target these words and these terms based on my model. Do we have good profit margins in the accounting department, in the master's in education department? Do we have a good program that converts very well? Do we want to spend some more money on marketing there? And prioritizing that as one of our keywords. Another excellent way to assess benefit is with a concept called upside potential, developed by Aaron Wall at SEO Book. And if someone like State Farm Insurance was my client, and I went in and needed to move the needle on their top terms, I would first identify these market-defining keywords, and then see the positions where they currently reside. That would give me an estimated value of those current positions. You can see here in the current position field, and that's with a little given data that says at this position we get this click-through rate and this number of clicks, this search volume, etc., etc. So there's some assumptions built into the current position that we'll talk about in a second. But what we want to really see is the difference in moving from that current position to the number one position. And that's what we deem upside potential. So I would go through and organize a spreadsheet by upside potential, and this would give us a pretty definitive list on where our keyword priorities should be with an existing site with existing rankings. Now, obviously, this is a little bit different if you're starting with a site from scratch, but most big clients are going to have existing rankings, and this is how you can check those and prioritize where the effort should be placed. We'll do a direct calculation and a little bit more on upside potential in the next video with a live hands-on demonstration. But before we do that, I want to give a caveat of this current position value. It's based on an assumption of overall percent of clicks and relative click volume. This is built into that spreadsheet at SEO Book, and it's very good information. It comes from a very reliable study, but it's still an assumption here that these are the click-through rates and volume that you're going to get in different positions. So that's built right into the spreadsheet with the current position value. So just a question of data quality there, something to consider. Again, with the caveat on all the volume information is it depends on your source and it can vary. Google's been notoriously unreliable on this front. Unless you're really doing paid search and seeing that firsthand, you're not going to know exactly what the click volume is going to be on a lot of these terms. And same with CPC. The cost per click varies quite a bit, so at the point you pull it, you're going to get a pretty reliable range, but obviously it's not going to be hugely scientific and always 100% accurate here as a caveat to the data quality when you're assessing benefit and doing those projections. So now that we have a thorough understanding of assessing benefit and the terminology and the methodology behind evaluating our market-defining keywords, we can move on to some opposition analysis. And opposition analysis is looking at those websites in the top 10 search results and making a judgment on the difficulty of ranking for that term. You can see with the keyword difficulty tool on the right-hand side, we get a 1 to 100 score of how difficult it's going to be to rank for those individual keywords. And this helps us to rule out some of those high opposition keywords, which unfortunately are going to be those same market-defining keywords a lot of times. Those are the same keywords that define the market for a lot of other businesses and therefore are very competitive. So we have to build towards those. We do that by identifying our top competitors and looking at the things that they're doing right in the keyword dimension for a specific keyword and try to emulate some of what they're doing and get closer to that point of being able to rank for those terms. And building some longer tail phrases on the way, building some content around that, building our overall SEO campaign and strategy around these keyword priorities that we're defining within this process. When we start to consider some of the data points for opposition analysis, we can look at the keyword and page level, we can look at the domain level, we can look at the offsite level, and some of these are things that we can look at subjectively like site design, and some are more objective like link equity or domain authority, and some of the metrics, some of the quantitative data that we can pull in aggregate on a variety of these data points. And there's so many data points that we could consider here. You're essentially reverse engineering the algorithm. There's lots of different factors. Google said at any given time there's over 200 factors that go into their algorithm. Obviously we can't look at these all, so we need to just identify certain data points for opposition analysis and stick to those. The difference here between what I call keyword opposition analysis for KOB scoring is looking at the search engine result positions, the search results themselves, and doing a SERP level analysis of the competitors at that keyword level, at that search query level. With competitive analysis, we're looking at entire domains, companies, their business models, other factors there for competitive analysis. But for opposition analysis, we're looking right at the search results specific to our SEO. And we're trying to look at objective data instead of subjective data. We want to look at the things that we can measure easily in aggregate rather than things that are just human opinion here. So some good key points, some opposition scoring, objective data. I use what I call updates, and this is using unique domains, page authority, domain authority, age, total links, exact match anchors, and social signals. And these 7 things are very important factors to the algorithm. They've been consistently important over time, and they're things that we can measure objectively. All of these things we can use a tool to measure in aggregate and pull into a spreadsheet. Now, something that would be a little bit more subjective that does have an impact would be keyword relevance, design quality, content quality, link quality. These are all qualitative, subjective things that we could assess through something like a site audit. We could look at something like 20 signals of an optimized web page, and based on how important we think these factors are, it's somewhat subjective here. So we could look at all these different areas, but it's going to be subjective to say there's keyword image alt text use that's optimized, that the images are optimized, etc. This is somewhat subjective. To say that State Farm's design is done well and is optimized and is conversion friendly is somewhat subjective unless we're actually using quantitative tools to prove those theories. So make sure that you're looking at objective data. Consider how much you want to track, how much weight you want to put on each variable. How are you going to stay consistent with these tracking because tools break? How much time are you going to spend collecting all this data for your analysis? And how accurate do you want your analysis? We want this to not be a huge time suck. We want to look at some easy, quick data points that we can pull that are objective based on our understanding of the Google algorithm. The first time I did this was with a SERP opposition analysis tool. It was the top 10 tool at We Build Pages. And all it really did was looked at the top 10 search results and said, hey, is there all in anchor, which was a tool at the time we could use? How many pages are indexed? All in anchor, which was the anchor text being used. What was the ranking for that? Did they have .edu links? What was their total amount of backlinks? What was the age of those domains? And it just looked at these 4 or 5 different things, and it gave us an analysis of the opposition that we were up against within the search. You can also do this with an inline SERP opposition analysis tool, something like SEO Quake. Moz.com has a toolbar like this as well. And if I do a search for online marketing classes, I get a result like this that shows me the page rank of those pages, the pages indexed, the SEMrush score, the Alexa rank, the age of the site, and there's some other criteria that I can build into that and export to a spreadsheet to start collecting that opposition information. So some of these that we can collect easily with the updates algorithm that I mentioned would be unique linking domains. We can get this through Moz.com toolbar here. Page link authority we can also get through that same toolbar. Domain link authority we'll get through that same toolbar in different locations here. And these are all very, very good indicators of opposition. Domain authority, page authority are 2 very strong indicators of how well a site will do within the search results. Age of a site's easy to pull from Wayback Machine. We can see how long someone's been working on that site. The total links to that we can pull with Open Site Explorer. We can look at the amount of exact match anchor text that they have for a given term and pull that information into a spreadsheet from Open Site Explorer. We can look at the volume and sentiment of social mentions from socialmention.com and again import that. There's a list of other social monitoring tools here that John On provided me with at wiki.kenburberry. That's an excellent list if you want to do some additional social media tracking for social signals. But ultimately, you're going to consider some part of all of these different dimensions of SEO. You need to collect this information in an opposition spreadsheet and do a little bit more in-depth opposition analysis than just taking the keyword difficulty score for what it's worth. The keyword difficulty score is very accurate. It's a good tool to set expectations, but you need to dig a little bit deeper into these search engine results and look at the opposition for any specific keyword. So the order of operations here is going to be to analyze the page level metrics using these different toolbars that I just mentioned. We're going to compare that site opposition at that SERP level using something like SEO Quake or the Moz search toolbar. We're going to record those opposition scores. This could just be with the keyword difficulty tool. We could just use that percentage score, or we could come up with our own algorithm here for an opposition score. And what we're really looking to do with our keyword research and our opposition analysis together is find phrases with the lowest opposition and the highest benefit. A few quick examples of that from an old site comparing learning toys, educational toys, and toys. We see we got our benefit from cost per click and volume. And then we took that a step further to see which one of those phrases was the most beneficial. Learning toys versus educational toys. Many more people searched for learning toys, and the CPC was about the same, so that benefit is what we're looking at. Now we're going to compare that to our opposition and see which of those phrases we want to choose to use for our website at brainwavestoys.com. You can see another student through the master certification process at Market Motive, used his own custom algorithm to come up with a score for global link popularity, for unique linking domains, for total opposition, for total benefit, and then he just used a 0, 5, or 10 for exact match domain scoring as a part of his algorithm within this spreadsheet. So there's custom ways you're going to develop your own way to do this eventually through a spreadsheet. You're comparing that opposition and benefit to come up with your keyword priority, because it's going to impact all of these different areas. It's going to impact your site organization, how you do your on-page optimization, your content creation, your link development, should you start a new domain or just a new directory based on these decisions. You're going to make your equity, architecture, and timeline decisions, meaning which phrases do you want to rank for over time, which areas of your site are going to be the priority based on this KOB analysis. You'll often hear it referred to as identifying the low-hanging fruit in SEO, the lowest opposition and the highest benefit. Now I often get the questions, what's low opposition? Well, this is always relative to your business, to your domain authority, to your site authority. If you're in that 30, 40, 50th percentile, you need to compete in that range. If your competitors and your opposition are in that 70, 80, 90th percentile, you have a while to catch up. You got to get to that point to catch up to be competitive for these market defining terms. You're always searching for the highest benefit terms, but if you're in the number 10, number 12, number 20 range, it's really not going to do you as much good as picking a little less competitive term to target and achieving a number 1, number 2, number 3 ranking. This keyword priority is going to continually impact your link authority, your total pages indexed, the timeline, and it's going to be impacted by budgetary restraints. You're only going to be able to do so much with the budget you have allocated for content and for links. So you may have a site architecture like this and decide you need to not do that new site until later and focus those budgetary efforts on the existing site, because it'll help that site grow more than creating a brand new site. These are the type of decisions you're going to make based on KOB analysis, based on this cost-benefit analysis of keywords. That moving target timeline, so that you can generate some short-term revenue today, so that you can fund your SEO department, your marketing department for search in the future. This is where we get the moving target of search, and this is where we really have to focus on our keyword prioritization. I've mentioned a lot of tools during the course of this presentation. Annie Cushing has an excellent list of these documented at her must-have tools. You can get it at the link above. And whether you're willing to spend some money on these free or paid tools, you're going to start to develop your own tool set and your own algorithm for KOB analysis using these data points and tools at your disposal. For identifying competitors and just all of this information, here's a variety of tools that I suggest and a little bit more. And we've covered a lot of information here with KOB analysis. I'll do a live demo in the next video. But we've covered what KOB analysis is, why it's important, keyword benefit, keyword opposition, the value of a number 1 ranking, assessing upside potential for sites with existing rankings, and developing some keyword prioritization strategy from this KOB analysis. We've looked at why objective data is more important than subjective data in creating opposition scoring and understanding SERP opposition. Thanks for joining me for competitive analysis for SEO. I hope you have a much better understanding of keyword opposition to benefit analysis and how the scoring affects your keyword prioritization and overall SEO strategy. Thank you very much.